Hey everybody, I'm JJ, you're watching Reality Survival, and so right now I just want to talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons to incorporating thermal IR devices to your preps. And so basically, just so we're kind of all on the same page, and so make sure I'm explaining it right. You have your traditional night vision, right? And then that uses an intensifier tube to be able to look out into the dark and see things better. You've got your white phosphorus options and your green phosphorus option there. And then you have digital night vision, which is like the ATN Excite 2 or the Bushnell monocular. I've showed you guys some of those in the past, but essentially those are, night vision. They're a camera. They're a digital camera that has utilized technology to be able to see infrared light a little better. And so if you combine those cameras with an IR illuminator, then you can see pretty well in the dark. It's not as good as like a Gen 3 or obviously a Gen 4, but it's probably like maybe a Gen 2 night vision device, something along those lines, right? And then you've also got new stuff out like the Psionics digital night vision, which is a color night vision, which is pretty cool. I haven't gotten one of those yet, but I'm thinking about checking one of those out. Those seem pretty awesome. You can get those for about $600. You can get the digital night vision, like for the ATN Excite 2, around $600. A Gen 3 night vision device, like the PVS 7, or excuse me, the PVS 14, is probably going to run you around $3,000, give or take somewhere. You can get Gen 2 intensifier tube night vision devices for around $2,000. And then you have the thermal devices, and the thermal devices are not night vision technology at all. What they are is they read the temperature. They have a sensor that reads the temperatures of all the items that it can pick up within its field of view out to a certain distance. And different sensors are rated at different distances, and so the further out it will measure temperature accurately, the more expensive it is, and so it depends on how much you want to spend. You can spend anywhere from roughly $3,000, $3,500 to get kind of their top of the line ones that'll see way out there. I shouldn't say top of the line. I'd say midline ones. There's more expensive ones that are higher end that are $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, but for the average person, they're attainable. And those are like the ATN Thor. And then you've got the ATN Thor LT, which is the light version, which is what I've got here. I recently picked this up through Devor, DVOR.com. It's kind of an offshoot of, I don't really know what it is, like a membership program of Optics Planet, I think. But they had a pretty good deal where they were selling this scope and then a tripod, a shooting tripod, for I think it was like $1,200, $1,100, $1,200, something like that. And so I went ahead and picked this up. This is the LT version, so it's a very bare bones kind of situation. And I don't unfortunately think that I can show you pictures of what it looks like very well. Let me see if I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to even show you, but I will attempt. Let's see here if we can look, because it's the LT version. Okay, you can see it somewhat there. So that's reading the temperature. It's not actually. Let me stay out of the way. I can't get steady. Well, you get the idea, hopefully. If I can figure out a way to take some pictures and throw some in here for you, then I'll do that. But this is pretty cool. I have been pretty impressed with how well it will pick up heat signatures as far as like an animal and that kind of stuff is concerned. Like I've let the dogs go run around in the woods at night, and then you know, I'll kind of track them with an empty gun and just kind of see how well it's doing. Just trying to get this little cut back on. And you know, it really does pretty well out to, I'd say 100 yards, something like that, 150 yards, I don't know. I got the cheap version. It's only a 3x6 power, and then it's got the smaller optic on it. And so it's not, you know, a top of the line thing, but it does, here's where I see it being really good. It could obviously be used in a tactical situation, right? But it has limitations with that. There's some definite limitations with that, so you have to be careful with it. But small game hunting and an SHTF kind of situation, or in a situation where you don't have to worry about laws and rules and you're just trying to subsistence hunt so that you can survive, you know, then, you know, going out at night with one of these, it would be really easy to procure food. Super easy. Raccoons, squirrels, possums, you know, all those kinds of things. Just wouldn't be difficult at all. So that's one potential use. Again, like we talked about, you could use it as a tactical kind of situation. Some of the limitations, you know, from a tactical perspective on these things is that they read the temperature of what they see and what they hit. So for instance, if you thought maybe it would be a good idea to use one of these, let's say you're in some weird situation where you had set up a roadblock to keep people out of your neighborhood or something because there was no police, the law wasn't up and running, you're in a grid down, whatever, I don't know, some hypothetical thing, and you wanted to keep bad people out of your area. And so you thought, I'll just use thermal and it'll be good. It won't be able to see through glass because it'll just read the temperature of the glass and it won't tell you anything that's behind it. So that's where like your night vision kind of comes into play a little bit better than that. Now, maybe the best of both worlds is, you know, combining something like this, which is a FLIR handheld thermal monocular. And I'll throw some pictures from it in here because it has the capability to do pictures. And it reads temperature much the same, but you could potentially have yourself a night vision rifle with an IR illuminator and a thermal to be able to kind of look at both and check both things out in some situations, right? I'm just kind of spitballing here. But these things are really big force multipliers. They really enable you to be a lot more effective to operate in the dark and all that kind of stuff. You just have to understand what they can do and what they can't do. I've found with the thermals that when it gets really cold out, and it's been cold out for a while, then you start to see less temperature variance, like, you know, in the woods and all that kind of stuff, because everything is just soaked cold, and there is a temperature gradient, but it's slight, and so it's not as well defined as when it's warmer out, and then things warm up at different temperatures a little bit more noticeably. So, and I would like to do in the future, I'd like to do some testing with that little handheld one to show you guys ways to defeat thermal and stuff like that, and how it can be, how it's not the end all be all, you know, and that's the main point, I guess, is there are limitations to all these things. You know, probably the most common tactical setup is to have the PVS 14 on a helmet, and then, you know, you can look through that, and then you have a laser on your weapon, and then you can just kind of hold it at the high ready and look through your night vision device and be able to see your laser, right? So that's a potential option as well. But again, it starts to get a little bit more expensive when you start to add up the cost of the PVS 14s and then the cost of the laser and all that kind of stuff, and it gets really crazy really fast. So it's kind of tough as a, just an average homeowner person on how much money should you spend in these things and all that kind of stuff. I definitely wouldn't recommend somebody who is just getting involved into prepping to start getting these things yet. These are kind of higher level when you've got your food and your water squared away and those kinds of things, and your security and your, ability to bug out and power generation and all that kind of stuff. These might be things that you look at later on, down the road a little bit. I don't think they warrant spending a bunch of money on, right now. This one, I want to say it was around 600 or something like that, if I remember correctly. And I got it off Devore also. So they'll have some specials on there, and they run pretty good prices sometimes. So you might check those out. I'm not an affiliate with them or anything. But anyhow, this is just kind of show and tell, getting you, some potential options to think about. I didn't realize that the Thor LT version scope or optic had gotten down that reasonable, $1,200. That's a pretty reasonable amount of money for the capability that you get, with these things. And so it's worth thinking about, if you've got the cash and you've gotten all your basics covered and all that kind of stuff, or maybe, you just want to go with the little handheld here for, looking and seeing what's outside your house and, seeing if little critters are messing around or whatever, you could identify them. So it's just, again, some options for you guys, because there's lots of different options out there, and so I'm just talking about those a little bit, and but I'll throw some links to that stuff down below if I can find them. You can check them out and see if it's something that you're interested in. But just, again, keep in mind, do some research, keep in mind what they're good for, what they're not good for, where they fit in. The obvious, I didn't mention this earlier, but the obvious downside to the digital night vision, when you have to have an IR illuminator to make them a better quality optic and seeing device, is that if whoever is on the other end of that has night vision also, then you are just broadcasting a huge bright light to your position. So be very careful about thinking about how to use those things in a tactical application. If the people that, the bad person who's attacking you is not equipped with night vision, then you have an advantage, right? And you can do that. But even those lights and those illuminators still have a small light signature, a visible light signature, even though they say they're RI or IR. So be careful about that. Also, a lot of red dots and stuff like that also have a small visible red dot from the front. So if the other people who are the bad guys have night vision and they're looking at you and you have a red dot on your rifle and you're looking back at them, there's a little light that they're seeing, and you should be aware of that. So just make sure you get to know your equipment. Get out, test your equipment, use it, see in dark what it looks like from all angles. Look at it with a pair of night vision devices to see if there's any light emanating from it and all that kind of stuff. You might be surprised, because unless you're running an EOTech or an aim point, maybe there's others, I'm not sure. I don't know, there probably are, Tridgecon maybe, but there's probably visible light coming out of your red dot. Okay, a lot of these midline to lower line red dots all have light that is visible from them. So just a little tactical tip, take a look at that. Anyhow, all right, enough rambling for me on that. I just wanted to make you guys aware that thermal is a great force multiplier. It does allow you to be able to scan the area quickly and to be able to kind of see what's out there as far as different heat signatures and stuff. but it has tactical limitations, and the prices have come down recently if you get the base models. So, you know, it might be something you're interested in. Anyway, got the website going. It's AmericanPreppingAcademy.com. If you go over there, I just ask that you sign up for the email list so that I can get in touch with you guys. I'm trying to build that email list up, because who knows how much longer the channel is going to be active with the way they're censoring things. And I'd like to be able to send you out, you know, emails when I put up new content or get a new lesson going, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to sell the list or anything like that. But if you have a browser where you've got pop-ups blocked, then you may have to turn that off in order to see the bar or the little pop-up. Several people have notified me that you can't see it if you've got those things. Like the Brave browser, I know, is one that kind of does it automatically. So you got to turn that off when you get to the site in order to be able to see it. So anyway, I'd appreciate it if you guys do that. Other than that, don't forget to live 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.